In tech, if you ever had to buy something, you had to make a compromise. Suppose you wanted a phone that was great in gaming and in camera. You can get a dedicated gaming phone, but the camera is gonna be not as great as a flagship. There's no such thing as a perfect device. We have to make a compromise no matter how little or insignificant it may be. But we can get pretty close to perfection. Enter the Surface Laptop Studio. I've been using this device for a month now, and I can confidently say that this is the best all-in-one Windows laptop you can buy right now. Okay, enough foreplay, let's get to the unboxing. The unboxing experience is pretty standard for a Microsoft device. We have a nice and firm box which feels premium to hold. Inside we have the Surface Laptop Studio itself, a 102-watt power brick, the warranty guide, and safety manual. And that's pretty much it in terms of the unboxing. Starting from outside, the design language is extremely familiar. It's Surface, but that dividing line running in the middle makes it look like a Surface Pro's big brother. Underneath, it has a base which keeps the device sturdy, gives it a little bit of weight for the screen mechanism, and has air vents for cooling. When using this as a laptop, it feels just like the Surface laptop. The base just disappears when you're handling the device. Opening up the laptop, the bezels are extremely small. It's kind of reminiscent of XPS design, but 2:3 aspect ratio is every content creator's dream. It does have rounded corners, and in Windows UI, it also has rounded corners, meaning some pixels aren't available at the corners. I really love this. Up until now, I haven't come across a use case where the missing pixels were a problem, but your use case may vary. It does give the device a unique aesthetic. We have a MacBookish keyboard, but only in appearance, and oh, wow, look at that freaking trackpad, it's huge. The screen is still Quad HD 2K, but it looks way better than its previous iterations of its siblings. The display is a little bit more glossy than I would have liked, and it's a bit hard to see outside. But if you put it to light mode and increase the brightness, you can use it no problem. It does look more enhanced, and now we can choose from different color profiles like sRGB and enhanced. When this came out, there were only two modes, 60Hz and 120Hz. Now we've had a dynamic mode for a while, which is pretty good on most occasions. It's the perfect balance between fluidity and efficiency, but sometimes I would be doing some work where 120Hz was required, but Windows didn't adapt. But it was good for the most part. All in all, it's an excellent display, but it's not for hardcore gamers for obvious reasons. So battery life is always the most varying thing among reviewers, because all of them have different use cases. Even with same use cases, we can have different configuration profiles that affect our usage. First up, I've set the display to dynamic refresh rate, battery on power saver, and brightness on auto. Doing some lightweight to slightly moderate work, it can get you up to 9 to 10 hours of battery life. I never found Microsoft's claims to be believable in the battery department. They always claim like 16 to 17 hours of battery life. I don't know how you get that much. Secondly, if you're doing something moderate to slightly heavy with previously mentioned settings off, you can expect from 4.5 to 6 hours battery, and if you're just pushing it, it will get you 1.5 to 2 hours. It does come with fast charging, and you can charge your device from 0 to 100% in 1 hour. Almost. The charger that comes in a box is a Surface Connect 102 watts. You can also charge it with these USB-C ports, but make sure you have a powerful enough adapter. For light to moderate to heavy workloads, I didn't have any problems with the performance. Up until recently, I was using Surface Pro 6 as my daily driver, and it was upgraded to Windows 11 the moment it came out. For some reason, the Studio feels like the most optimized computer for Windows 11. I don't know how, but just the animations, the opening and closings of the apps, just interacting with the UI feels so smooth and snappy. It's so good to a point where it feels like Microsoft made Windows 11 specifically for Studio. It goes head to head with the MacBook. My unit is i7-11370H, 16 gigs, 512 gigs SSD, and RTX 3050 Ti. The SSD speed is not the best I've ever seen, but it's plenty fast. Speaking of SSD, you can upgrade it. Oh, let me rephrase that. Only a Microsoft authorized technician can upgrade it. I'm pretty sure the replacement or upgrade cost is not worth it. You might as well get your desired spec from the get-go. RTX 3050 Ti is plenty for lightweight to moderate gaming. You can even play latest titles at good speeds given you downgrade your graphics settings a little. But this device is not a gaming device. For this price tag, you can get a pretty serious gaming setup or a gaming laptop. RAM is also blazing fast. I didn't notice any lag in this department. Finally, the the processor. It's a little bit underwhelming. Not the fastest or even the most competent processor that could have fitted in here, but in my opinion, this is just a nitpick. I never heard this laptop getting loud. The fans are so quiet, they're almost non-existent. Under stress load, they turned and their spin eventually increased, but it was still barely audible. Overall, I didn't notice any problems or issues with this device regardless of the workload. Nevertheless, one of the biggest cons of this device is the I/O, or the lack thereof. No USB-A ports and no micro SD card slot. I get it, the USB-C is the new cool, but hey, if you want to be cool, why do you still have a headphone jack? Explain this to me. No USB-A, but a headphone jack. The I/O is a make or break for so many consumers. At least we can take comfort knowing that both USB-C ports have Thunderbolt 4. Now let's see the party trick. We just have to apply a little pressure from the back at the top and the screen is ready to be adjusted. We can adjust it in various positions, but the most common is the tent mode, then the tablet mode, the floppy mode. It is so snappy and satisfying to use for different modes, and the cherry on top is Windows recognizes these different modes within an instant. It's so quick, like blink and you'll miss. The hinge mechanism is also very solid to say the least. It feels premium to touch and looks like it's well built. But I can't help but notice it is woven polycarbonate or leather. Not sure what this material is, but it's definitely not magnesium or aluminum. Whenever I'm using this device in tent mode, the hinge looks scary and very fragile. It's definitely not. I've put significant pressure on the screen and it didn't even cause any stress to the hinge, but I still didn't feel at ease. Speaking of 2-in-1 mode, the pen was upgraded from Surface Pro X and the new iteration is the new Slim Pen 2. You can swipe it underneath the trackpad where it also charges. When it's tucked away, you can't even see it. It's that level of unobtrusiveness. I personally love that we don't have to put AAA batteries in the pen. It also charges pretty quickly. Is this the perfect gaming device? No. Is this the perfect device for artists? No. Is it the perfect performance-oriented, battery-efficient, latest and greatest internal with room for upgradability device? No. But is it a device to do diverse workloads and give you everything without a reasonable compromise? Bingo. With that being said, this is Rogue Hat. I hope you guys enjoyed this perspective. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys later.